I think about my earlier experiences in the northern Gulf of California as a graduate student and also a little bit younger. And going down there and you know, you're diving and looking at the sort of richness of fish species that are out there in the Gulf and the sizes of the fishes. And when you're looking in a current time at something, you're not comparing it to anything. But if you read the literature from earlier about the Sea of Cortez, you realize how much we've lost in terms of large fish. When I was, let's just say 30 years ago, the totoaba, which is a big croaker that lives in the Gulf of California that used to have nursery grounds in the Colorado River that no longer exists because the estuary doesn't flow out into the northern Gulf anymore. And those fish have been overfished. And then the thing about these animals is that the gill nets that the fishermen need to use to capture the size of totoaba that they want to capture is exactly the size of net that ensnares the little vaquita, the native porpoise to the Gulf of California. And I think there are, you know, no more than a dozen of those things in existence. Now, we've known that they've been declining for 40 years, and we haven't been able to stop that decline. And I guess my biggest concern is that, you know, the people that come out there now, there are no vaquita, there are a few totoaba, there are no big fish left, and that's what they're going to expect to see in their lifetimes. That'll be their baseline for what's appropriate. And it is so far from what we could actually have that if we don't move away from consumption and I know climate is an issue, but it's not as big an issue as habitat loss, to be honest, in terms of driving populations down. That we're going to be on a world with, you know, a couple of rats and a cockroach or two, and I believe that's possible. We could have a world where there's almost nothing there but us, and that just doesn't seem to me like a good thing. So when I get really worked up, I feel like we need to do something, and that's what my students are doing. You know, they're out there creating corridors for monarch butterflies to migrate. They're out there doing land use plans. They're working for nonprofits that help try to restore things to some conditions that is at least maybe halfway what they were 400 years ago. We're not going to go back to 1500, but we at least could keep some of these things around, I think. And that's really what my students want to do.